Hi guys, I have just seen a video by another YouTuber called Lone Vault Wanderer. I will leave a link down to the video below. And the video was entitled Borderlands Huge Sale, all games for $26. Should you buy? And my answer is no, you should not. Now this answer is the opposite of what he is saying, because he's saying yes, you should, and it may come as a surprise to many people who know that I'm a huge Borderlands fan. I'm not actually saying you shouldn't go off and buy these games, I'm saying you shouldn't buy that bundle. I agree with him that the bundle in question is great value and it would be worth it, but for one thing. If you look at what's in this bundle, it's got Borderlands 1 plus all of the DLC for Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2 with none of the DLC, and Borderlands the pre-sequel. And this costs, as he said, about $26. Obviously mine lists it in Norwegian kroner. If I go along to my cart, I've added instead Borderlands Game of the Year Edition, which is with all the DLC, and Borderlands 2 Game of the Year Edition, that's with all the DLC for Borderlands 2, and it comes to a total of 117 Norwegian kroner, which is roughly the same price as the bundle in question. Now I know what you're thinking, the triple pack is 3 games with all of the DLC for one of them, whereas this is just 2 games with the DLC for both. And my answer is yes, absolutely. The difference between this is you don't get the pre-sequel game, but instead you get all of the DLC for Borderlands 2. And there's a lot of it. And more importantly, the DLC for Borderlands 2 is absolutely superb. You've got Captain Scarlet's missions, you've got Mr. Talk's campaign of Carnage, you've got Sir Hammerlock's big game adventure, and by far the greatest DLC ever created, Tiny Tina's assault on Dragon Keep. This one DLC all by itself is worth playing the game for. It's hilarious, it really is. So you get all of this DLC, which in my opinion is, well, not only is it worth more than the pre-sequel, this third game, it's infinitely better. A lot of people, myself included, are going to tell you that the pre-sequel was a huge letdown by the standards of Borderlands. It just didn't hit the sweet spot that the first 2 games managed to hit. And, I mean, you know, it really isn't, in my opinion, that important to play that game. If you're a Borderlands fan and you want to do the entire Borderlands experience, Borderlands 1 and 2 with all of the DLC will scratch the itch for you. Trust me, you could be spending hundreds of hours playing those 2 games with all the DLC that you can play. Here's the thing, the first game I played through 8 times completely. I only did one of the DLCs. Believe it or not, that's it. On Borderlands 1, I only did one of the DLCs once. I'd already finished the game God knows how many times. Borderlands 2, I did 15 full playthroughs, with most of them with all of the DLCs. It varied from playthrough to playthrough. I played this to death. The pre-sequel, I played 1.5 times and grew a tiny bit bored of it. So that should put it into some sort of perspective. Now, if you want to get the pre-sequel as well, that is fine. Get that on top of this. But the Borderlands 2 Game of the Year Edition, in my opinion, is far better value because it gives you all of the DLC. And as I said, this DLC is amazing. In fact, this is such good value, I'm even thinking about buying it again for myself for my public account. I already own these games on my private account, but I rarely boot that up anymore. And if I ever wanted to play Borderlands again, it would almost certainly be on this account. This game is actually one of those games you can revisit over and over again, especially if you want to play it with friends. For those of you that don't know, it's a shooter. It's got a very unique style, but you get to play one of 4 characters, and you can play with 3 of your friends. So there's 4 of you, each playing a different character, each with completely different abilities, and you can just wreak havoc and mayhem non-stop for, well, hundreds and hundreds of hours. And honestly, the story's reasonably good. It gets a little bit of criticism occasionally as not being the most emotionally engaging, and the end of the first one was a bit meh. But honestly, it's not really about the story, it's more about the characters. The characters you meet in these games are hilariously funny. There's a lot of pop culture jokes cropping up. It's just, if you appreciate something that does not take itself seriously, something that is just tons of absolute mayhem and fun, and gives you the option to play with 3 of your friends at the same time, this is something you probably should have already tried out. So, yeah, I actually do agree with Lone on this. You should definitely check out this deal. You've got 21 hours left on this 75% off sale from the time of me recording this, so it might be a little less by the time you watch it. It's well worth the money if you like this sort of game. My only disagreement with him is don't get the triple pack, get the Game of the Year edition for both 1 and 2. If you want to pick up the pre-sequel once you've finished 1 and 2 in God knows how many hours time, yeah, you can do that. Or you could even pick it up while it's on sale right now. But trust me, the DLC for Borderlands 2 is well worth playing.